Hello, welcome. This week on the podcast, we have Sharon with us as a guest feature. So big welcome, Sharon. Hello. So just want to start off though to say that some people might not know who I am and not know who Sharon is. So I am founder of United Art Space and Sharon is my amazing friend. And some of you will know, though, that we did a live session recently and was talking about Sharon featuring in the biggest exhibition yet. And we want to do a debrief of that. So if you didn't tune in to the session that we did a few weeks ago, you might want to listen to that one. As Sharon was preparing for Collect and was sharing all the things that she was doing in preparation and getting ready for it. And we did a behind the scenes of how she got to that point and everything that amounted to this moment. And now this session, we're going to download, debrief, and I'm going to pick inside Sharon's brain and pull out. There's not much left. And pull out everything that happened. So first of all, I was just giggling because it was Joe that says, I'm sat here with my coffee and banana, and I'm sat here too. The end of the banana's just fallen out. We're sat here with our peppermint. We've got fresh peppermint tea.
Delicious.
And bananas and fruit with us. So we are ready. Pull up a drink. Fire away any questions that you have. So if you've got any questions for Sharon as we're talking, if you're watching the replay or listening to the podcast, you won't be able to do that. But let's get stuck in. So Sharon, first of all, let's recap on this amazing exhibition that you just had. It was at the Collect Somerset House in London, which if you don't know it, if you don't live in the UK, it is one of the most beautiful galleries ever. Really, it is stunning, isn't it? The history behind it as well.
So hello, I'm Sharon. I'm Sharon Griffin, and thank you very much, Michelle, for inviting me onto this lovely show. I've got so much to say. I've got to get my words in order so that I make sense of the world around me in this talk. So the Collect Open, which is what I was part of, is run by the Crafts Council, and it's every year. And it was at the Saatchi Gallery, but now they're holding their prestigious Makers Fair. So the makers, when we say makers, it's all about making. So it's real high-end crafts. So anything that you make, basically, so wood, metals, plastics, ceramics, textiles, all of that. So there's no photography, but there is photography elements in the making, if that makes sense. So that's the making part. It's run by the Crafts Council UK, and it's at the Somerset House, which is in London, as we know. And it's amazing. It's where the Courtauld Gallery is. So it's right on the south, near the South Bank part of the river. It was really exciting. So over the past 2 years, I have been working behind the scenes with my artist buddy Wayne Chisnell, who is a sculptor and also based in Wellington, where we live, in Telford in the UK. And I asked him if he would like to do a collaboration with me. So the thing was that the collaboration was all about releasing something that's really precious to you over to another person to respond to. So it's like a swap, but it's not a swap as in you get you swap work. It's a swap where you both work on the same piece of work, but in different times, so separately. And it's about releasing the control over something that you can't. And it was a direct response of being in COVID initially. We had so for 2 years, Wayne and I have been working on this project, and all of a sudden it happened. You know, this thing that we've been working on for 2 years actually happened. So
it's quite surreal.
It's surreal. So you can imagine all the hype that was, the build up, the behind the scenes. We were videoing, we were editing, we were getting people to photograph our work, we were doing the work right up until the very a couple of days before the show happened. We selected the work, we wrote about it, we just, you name it, we've done it. We discussed it so many times. So then it was there, and we put it out, and it looked fantastic. And we chatted. So we were there with I've got to say, other makers as well. So if you know the Collect, from exhibition, the High Makers Fair, High selected. Oh, I don't get my words in.
Just say
Take a breath.
collect.
Collect. Yes. I'm just so excited. I just can't. I'm running over my words. So take a deep breath. If you know Collect, part of the Collect is the Collect Open part, which is where the Crafts Council open up this this platform for artists who want to do something different alongside their own work. So the Collect project that Wayne and I have been producing isn't our own, it's part of another project which we called Unlockdown. So that in itself was quite exciting, but also very, very different. And in that Collect Open group, there were 11 of us, 12 other people that were selected for those 2 years. So behind the scenes, Wayne and I have been talking to 10 other people about their experience of being in lockdown. We've got a really good group together. We're supporting each other. We're talking about things like, where'd you get your business cards? How are you printing your work? What you going to wear? Things, just those things, which is really important. So there's loads of uppers. I spoke to loads of people that I've been worshipping and following all of my life, my adult life, it seems, such as Claire Kernine, who I'm a massive fan of, Emily Jones, who is a fantastic potter, but illustrates on her pots, Christy Brown, who is an international award-winning sculptor, artist, Claudia Clare, who was real passionate for women and feminist ideals and ideologies. So I met these people, but they came to see me, which is like, what? What? Now it feels like I'm part of I found my tribe because of that show, which is so good. It feels so good.
Wow.
Oh, it feels so good. So then obviously afterwards I went on a downer and I crashed and burnt. So after the show of being away from my family for a week in Somerset House, a beautiful part of the world, just the sun was shining most days. Great. It's just great to see everybody.
And you'd had this massive build-up as well. So
Huge.
this was like a 2-year build-up. So then the event itself happening, I didn't ever think about the crash afterwards. And I think this is important to talk about, isn't it? Because when you have such a build-up and a big high, they're inevitably, and I don't want to say inevitably, because I guess for some people not, but I know that I'm like this, that whoa, then you have this big like, oh my gosh, that's all over. What happens now? Or it's just the adrenaline. All of a sudden, you've stopped. So you had that. I've been messaging Sharon. I'm like, hey, what size shoe is Edith? Edith's Sharon's daughter. What size shoe? Nothing. Okay. Just prod her in another way. What about this, Sharon? Nothing. And I back off because I like. I didn't think about the crash. I thought she's busy post the exhibition, and then you came to the surface and was like, just had a big
well, this was a time. So this time for 2 months I've not done any clay work.
You've just been so focused.
Been really focused on getting the exhibition right, because it's a platform to talk about the things that are really important to me, such as mental, physical well-being, my relationship with the clay, the relationship with the material. If you know my work, it's real emotive stuff, and it's a vehicle for me to express my emotions and feelings, but not just my own, but how we can all communicate better in this beautiful world of ours. And then coming out of Somerset House to this not being it. So literally I was there from 9 o'clock in the morning until 9:30 at night, every day. So it's full on talking to thousands of people about the kind of the same things.
It's tough, but challenging.
It's full on, and I was in it. I was immersed in it, So I didn't watch any news. I wasn't aware of the world around me. Coming out of Somerset House, coming out of Collect Open, coming out of that wonderful bubble of isolation, of loveliness,
your own world,
to war, to what's what's happening in Ukraine and Russia at the moment, and how it's having an impact in everybody's lives. And then having that feeling of helplessness and wanting to make the world better because we love each other. It's all of that. So I had a crash, massive crash, and also had a cold and a cough.
Yeah. It's like your body just
So my
went,
body's
"Oh."
like, no. So what I did is I thought, I'm just going to shut the doors, and I made 12 sculptures last week.
There you go. There's the power of
Clay
art.
is my friend.
If in doubt, make art.
Work through it with the clay. Clay, tell me, what can I do about this? So sorry about I haven't been talking to anybody.
No, you know me. I know.
Yeah.
I know if Sharon wants me, I'm there.
Yeah.
But...
Oh, I just had to shut the doors on the pottery, and I
yeah.
just did.
Sometimes you need to take a back seat, don't you? And I think this is why this is good to talk about,
Yeah.
because it's okay to just shut off and not reach out to people and have some time out. And especially, I think, after you've done something so heightened around lots of people.
Yeah.
And maybe this is something that you take away, anyone listening here, you know, after you've poured your heart and soul into your work or some kind of exhibition, it's not expecting it, because it might not happen, but it's allowing that time afterwards to just be by yourself, to, if that's the kind of person you are, because it can be so, you're giving so much and there's a lot of energy you're taking in, then you just need to retreat back, don't you, maybe? And having that and knowing it's a season and that's okay.
Yeah, just having a back seat, just giving some
Yeah.
time out.
Yeah.
I thought, right, I need some time out, so I'm having some time
That's
out.
really good. Yeah.
And my safe place, I know that this happens to a lot of artists, not to everybody, but my safe place is the pottery, and my safe, my friend is clay.
Yeah.
And it picks up. It does. It sounds very hippie and sounds very silly, but actually it isn't, because clay picks up mirrors me. So if I'm so I'll put it a different way. If I ask you how you're feeling and you're not feeling so great and you don't want to say anything, if I give you some clay and then ask you how you're feeling, I can tell how you're feeling because of how you're interacting with the clay.
Wow.
It's a mirror.
Yes.
So it picks up every single thing.
Oh my gosh, I love that, because you've just reminded me of a time when I made clay with you and I was feeling really I don't know what the word is, but it was really conscious and it
hesitant
and things are coming out, and it was, and Shannon's like, you know, just take this and start whacking it, and then she, you know, you got me to pull out of myself. Oh yeah,
it's a bodily thing, you know. So because we all have a body, it's a doing activity. So it's if you're feeling, if I'm feeling whatever it is, I can't put words to, I know that the clay will mirror what I'm feeling, so I can see what I'm feeling and I can see the emotion there, and I can see the, you know, even if it's a mark, or if then I scrape that mark away because I don't want to reveal it, it's a conversation that I have. So clay is my mirror. It is me. There is the thing that I need. And then once I've gone through that making process and that exploring with my hands and that internal voice that then maybe comes out into that clay, I can then see it, and then I can process it, and then I can see what I need to do. So from that week of, I'm making some sculpture, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling sad and emotional and angry and fed up and all the swear words that we're not going to use. So now, off the back of that, Wayne and myself have decided that we're going to, not auction, we're going to raffle off one of our sculptures that we took to collect, to make some money, raise some funds for Ukraine.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
That's what we're working on at the moment. And also I got in touch with the school to say, look, can we bring some clay into the school? You know, use that as a prototype to formalize some sort of activity that can be either with children or with parents and children or caregivers and children, or with staff, members of staff, and think about how else we can communicate more effectively rather than our own little wars or our big wars that are happening globally, which is my thing. That's what I want. I want the world to be a better place to live in for all of us.
Yeah, and it was interesting because, like you just said, so you went into your own world in the show, with all the stuff going on externally, which you probably weren't aware of at that time, and the irony was that you were there with your work, And I remember us sitting there talking about the purpose and what you really wanted. And it was you said, oh, I can't remember the exact words, but it was so powerful. And you said, I just want through my work other people to be able to
talk
talk
about things,
openly. That was it.
talk
To talk
openly
openly
about the
about
things
these
they feel
feelings.
uncomfortable about. And it can be anything.
Yeah.
So that's the point, isn't it? The point of
in your work,
my work is that I use it as a platform to talk about the things that we can't talk about.
Yeah. So it's really fascinating. Hopefully. Yes. And so tell me then. So looking back now, you've had a bit of time to digest the whole experience. Maybe not the whole experience, but you've digested what happened. You're like, did you have to pinch yourself? Like, did that really happen?
Did that really happen? Oh my God, my bank account is really low. Did that really cost me all of that? And is it really worth it? And all of
there
those.
will be all those fears. I bet you are having those
Absolutely.
feelings.
Yeah, but you've got to trust the long game.
Yeah,
it's the long game that is the most important. The initial, there was no sales. It wasn't about the selling. It was about the collaboration and the talking and about the important things
and having a platform in front of all those people.
Yeah.
Which will lead to relationships.
Yeah,
and
it's having it. I learned about confidence building. I might seem very confident when I'm talking to camera here with you because I love you and this is my safe place with Michelle as well. But actually inside I'm not confident about those because it's uncharted territory. And off the back of that Collect exhibition and the work that I've been working with Wayne, I've really understood what it is that I really want to say and what really gets me fired up. And I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't have done the collaboration and if I hadn't have done the work and if I hadn't have put myself out to release something so precious, the clay in my case, to somebody else who I didn't really know that well at the time, to then give them that to do something with and learn to trust that if we all give something to somebody that we don't know, maybe there will be a trust. Maybe I will trust them and they will trust me, and there will be like a mutual understanding of how we can interact in a kinder way. We don't have the same voice. None of us do. We've all got our own voices because that's what makes us unique. We might have groups of people that we think, yeah, you're my tribe. Yeah, this is great. I love this conversation. This is right up my street. But actually, if you put yourself into someone else's shoes completely different. So I remember when I was working on some of Wayne's work, thinking, oh man, this is really tight. And it's using material that I wasn't aware of, or I am aware of it, but I don't usually work with. I remember he gave me this kind of tall tower piece, which is made from wood, so reclaimed wood. And each piece was so raw and so torn and chopped already, but beautifully put together, so precisely. I remember thinking, I want to do something with it, but I don't want to overstep his voice. So I remember just rubbing it down with some oil, and then just noticing his marks. So that's a different way of communicating.
That's interesting. It's like listening
to someone else's voice, but in not words,
in a visual.
Yeah,
Ooh.
It's really cool. It's just really cool.
We're such art geeks. You said something a minute ago that I wanted to go back to, and it was I think it's just reiterating this power of art. And I know I talk about it a lot, but I'm really looking into it because if you didn't know, I'm writing a book. And
I can't wait for that book.
I am. We were laughing. We were laughing last week, saying it's an imaginary book, and it kind of is at the moment. But I've been really thinking about this whole. I talk about it a lot, like the impact of art and what it's had on me. But sometimes it just feels like words, and I'm really tuning in now to what other people are saying about the transformation that art can have. And that's what I was just picking up from you, because it really has this ability, doesn't it, to you understand yourself so much more by going through the art process. And this is where I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but I just feel like I need to process this. It's for my book. This is like a little bit of just processing. I think people, when they focus on the output in the physical sense, like I didn't get this berry to look like a berry, and
Yeah.
you get so hung up on, this
Yeah.
dog, look at that ear, and
I've got the eye in the wrong place. There's no
those
such
things,
thing as wrong, yeah.
which can be important, but when you just go with the flow,
Yeah.
and you really just explore, and then I don't know what I'm getting at here, but there's this part of art making which is so powerful, that's more about getting the ear in the right place, or the berry looking three-dimensional. It's about you really using art to find it's about finding your own voice, but also really understanding why you feel the way you do, and why and how the world works and how you work. And do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do. The more we
and
investigate,
I'm trying to unpick this because I think it's really, really important, and I want to voice this more because I want people to focus on that part of art making.
So by understanding your own process and your own internal dialogue, the voice that's inside of you, your own feelings, your emotions, the more that you understand who you are as a creative, pure, being, if you like, which we all are, I believe. Maybe by understanding yourself and the internal dialogue that you have, you can understand what is it that you want, what are your intentions. So, that berry might be one of your intentions. I need it to look really, really, really precise and photorealistic, because that's your intention. But you only do that if you really know that that's what your intention is. So you've got to do the work, haven't you, to really investigate and be curious about your why. Why are you doing that? And I know that the more that you do that, Michelle, the more that you think about, and the more we have conversations with people, the more we think about, or the more we have conversations with other people that aren't in our tribe, and we then learn to know that there are many, 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 many voices, but we all have the same kind of need. And that need to be creative, especially in terms of art. We are creative beings, and we know that the arts are so important with everything that we do. It's the microphone that we're talking into, it's the screen that we're looking at, it's the way that the visuals are being put up, it's the home decor, it's the way that we have our hair. It's
we
everything.
Respond to colours, we respond to visuals. It's massive, it's huge.
It's the way that we look outside, it's the color of the earth, the land is, it's whether we choose to have a home in a certain place in the world or not. It's everything affects us, and that is I think artists are really, really, really brilliant at making sense of the world around them and using their art to question what our preconceived beliefs or ideas are being fed to us. And I think that's a really powerful, art can be very, very powerful if we want it to. And it's this, I feel really fired up about this. Fired up. We're going to do art. Let's make art. That's okay.
Lucia sent a question in just saying, can real concerns for why we make be evident or authentic in decorative art?
Absolutely.
Do you think decorative art can be taken seriously? Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Artists are very are the most, or Grayson Perry, I think, or was it Oscar Wilde? This is a quote from Wayne, actually. Oscar Wilde said that all artists are not serious. They're the least serious people in the world, but they take their art the most seriously. So, we create art that's really joyful and it makes us feel great. So decorative art is fantastic. We need that so much. We need decorative, we need fun, we need joy, we need humor. We need a lot of humor, especially right now, because humor is great for breaking down barriers and borders and making us feel great. It can't always be really serious.
It's funny that statement, Lucy, and thank you for bringing that to the table, because that thing, can it be taken seriously? It's an interesting term, isn't it? Because when we think about being taken seriously, it's about, then I don't know.
The tone changes, doesn't it?
The tone
it's all very serious. Oh,
And
we must
it's-
be serious about this stuff.
and it's like it's an interesting thing to, I think, to just let's just unpick that a little bit, because if I say, you know, I want to be taken seriously and I want to be here taken seriously, what does that actually mean? And then that could be then you seeing the world through these people who give you permission to be an artist, these people who want to see the professional side, and you have to submit to be this artist. And if you don't fit there, then no, you're not taken seriously, which means then you're not an artist. And these are great conversations to have, because the wording that you use there, and I've used it as well. I'm not just picking you out. It's something that you've just brought awareness to myself. Like, I want to be taken seriously as an author, and it's just getting clear, isn't it? And when I say that, what do I mean by that? And then I unpick and I go, oh, it's because I want to go to these publishers who are up here in my world. They're up here. I'm down here, and I want to be taken seriously by them. And I'm taking steps. But you know what? Even if I'm not taken seriously by these people, there is a place, because, you know, and it's the same with anything that we create. If those people don't see something in us and don't take us seriously in their world, there are lots of other worlds, and you can create your own world. This is literally the world we're living in right now. It's so exciting. And I know that if I don't get published by the book, I can just publish it myself and create my own my own little publishing world. And it's the same for the arts. It's, you know, there are pockets of people who you can reach out to and put yourself in front of. They might not take you seriously, but that does not mean that you can't pursue that type of art that you really want to make, and find your people that maybe taking it seriously just isn't in their vocabulary, and it's not something that they just accept you. Does that make sense? It's like,
It does.
Yeah, I'll just accept you for what you are. I don't need to see your bio. I don't need to see that part of you. I really like your work. Let's talk, you know. And so it then doesn't have to be about taking anything seriously. Yeah. Oh, I love this conversation. It's a bit deeper on Monday morning.
I think Lottie posted the thing. If we don't mind just popping that on. She found the quote from Oscar Wilde. Here we go. It's just here. I think, is it there? No. Oh, it's down. Anyway, it's Oscar Wilde, and it's about art. Yeah. And Grayson Perry did it. Thank you for sharing that. Art is, there we go. Art is the only serious thing in the world, and the artist is the only person who never serious. Thank
Oscar
you,
Wilde.
But maybe it is about being heard. I'm a very linear person, so I have to go back into the start of the story to get to the end. I can't just get to the end. So if I think about why we're making work, we have to think about why is it? What is our, first of all, identify why we're doing something, and then what it's going to be for. So writing the book, you know, why are we writing this book? Because I feel very passionate. It's the need to be heard. It's the wanting to voice something, and that is a serious part, isn't it? Because if we're not listened to, maybe is it that this is another conversation? Is it, so who has the ownership of that voice then? So is it Michelle's voice? Is it your voice? Or is it, you know, is it my voice? Or is it all of ours, a shared thing? You know, so what's the intention? You know, it's that berry thing, isn't it? You know, what is the intention? Is the intention for that berry to be really accurately in terms of the retina and, you know, the photorealist thing? Or is it the energy of the berry? And if it's the intention of that, then who is it going to be seen by? And why do you want it to be seen by people? It's really in depth, isn't it? And that's a serious part. So that's a serious bit. But actually, when we're making the work, it can be really fun. I made, last week, I made some really serious, dark stuff because it's all really angst and angry and sad and like, ugh. But I also made some that were like singing, kind of with voices, these faces and figures that I was making. And some bodies that were really moving to some music, so kind of working it out. There's all aspects of the art. It doesn't have to be all serious, does it?
No, and actually, going back to that point, none of it has to be serious. Like even the bit of making and then putting it out into the world and finding people, it doesn't, does it? And someone says here, but then equally it can. So let me read what
So
Peon.
personal.
Yeah, it is. So Peon says, do you think being taken seriously has a relation to being meaningful? Possibly, yes. And I think also, though, this feeling of being taken seriously, I do think there is a place for it sometimes if that's what your intentions are. I'm thinking back now to a few years ago when you weren't quite selling and you had this fire. You were like, I really want to make this work.
Yeah, that was
And
a need. The need to make money was.
Well, no, I don't think there was a need to make money. It was
I needed to pay the bills. That was part of it.
You wanted to be an artist, and I remember you saying to me, I want to take, I remember you saying, I want to take this seriously now.
Yeah.
And I want, and you went and looked at other artists who were at the top of their game, and you had a look at what they were doing.
Such as Claire Kineen.
Yes,
Christy
all these
Brown.
people.
Yeah,
and
looked
you
at
said,
them, how are they doing? What are they doing?
And I think part of that conversation was, I want to be taken seriously in my field, in the genre that I'm working in. And then you worked hard to create this professionalism. And
I've got to clarify, when I looked, I do remember, I mean, art has always been I take my artwork very seriously.
Yeah.
And I needed to make it because of, partly because of I needed to swap from being a teacher to a full-time artist, and I need to pay some bills. That was a byproduct of taking and that's what you taught me.
Yeah.
And I was looking to people like Claire Kineen and Christy Brown, and what were they saying with their work, because they're both figurative clay artists, and they're PhD lecturers as well. And I've got to definitely clarify that I wasn't copying their work or being influenced by their voice.
Yeah.
What I was learning from them is how they used their voice to reach the platforms or to get onto that platform so that they can speak to many people about their work. So being their work visible, and that is a serious part for me. I still want to, and I am going to, I am making my work be more visible on an international platform, because I feel that my work needs to be seen by many, and that means I can make more of a difference and more of an impact into the things that I find are very important to me, which is making connections.
That's it there. And that's how you will get your work out into the world.
Yes.
When it comes from that place, I just love what you just said, because I want people to see it.
Yeah.
And when you want people to see your work, you'll get it out there.
Yeah.
That's
the serious part, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think going back to what you said is important as well, about looking to other people, and always looking to other people is so important, and then figuring out how to do it in your own way.
Yeah, it's not that I'm not copying their work at all. It's just it's the how.
Yeah.
I'm just being influenced and noticing how.
It's such a good point. Yeah, what are they doing? Yeah. And I think we have a lot of people afraid. There's a couple of points here now. I'm just thinking that a few people might be thinking that they're afraid of being copied. And people have said to me before, I'm afraid of being copied. But back to Sharon's point, if somebody copies you, they're not going to really get anywhere, because it's just not their voice. It's hard enough anyway to make it in the art world. If you're copying someone and it's completely someone else's, they're not really going to get very far.
There's so much room for everybody. In fact, there was a couple of people that I follow on Instagram, especially because I put my work on Instagram all the time. It's there for people to see, on Pinterest, on Instagram, anywhere, all of the platforms. I'm just visible because I want to share it, and I know that whoever comes to their clay has got a different voice to me. They can kind of be influenced by it, and that's good. In fact, there's been 2 incidences where I've stopped in my tracks and thought, oh, I didn't think I made that one. Where did that one go to? And it wasn't my work. And even I thought it was my work.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's not, I don't feel bad about that. I just think maybe I shouldn't be so open with my visibility of, finished sculpture. Maybe just show the processes or share that part. But then I thought, no, bugger that.
Yeah.
That's just silly. Because we've all got hands, we've all got a face, we approach the clay in similar ways. It's just trying to, just keep going with that journey. And I know that other people have probably thought that I was being influenced by them a bit too much. In fact, there was one time at university when I was sat in, I got placed in a similar or in the same space as somebody else, and they were working on their figurative work too, and then they were off for about 6 months, and I had their space for a while. And my tutor, Mel, she said, Sharon, you do realise that your work is looking very, very similar to Louise's, don't you? And I didn't see it. I thought, oh, that's a point. Maybe you should look at different things and take, some of the pictures down.
It's
just
easily done
hold on a
because
minute.
it's your subconscious taking it in.
It is,
yeah.
So it's not
easily
plagiarism. Done. It's just a bit of a just notice.
That's what finding your voice is all about, though, isn't it? It's about taking inspiration from different places and then putting it into your own. I just wanted to share as well when you were saying about how you wanted, you have this desire to get the work out into the world, and you want that. And there are probably people here that
just really
want
scary.
that, but are scared.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely fearful of that.
And there's a lot of people here who possibly could be listening to this thinking, I like making art, but the thought of anyone else being interested in it just doesn't, it doesn't make sense. And it's a process.
I'm doing this on my knees. Oh, just the thought of it's because it's draining. It is time consuming and it's energy draining. It's, pushing yourself outside of your own comfort zone again and again and again. It's like there's only so much you can do, and then you have to just stop for a while and take a breath and give yourself plenty of breaks and just do it when you're ready. And it's not a rush. One thing, the huge thing that I learned after the Collect exhibition is that so when I go to shows, generally I sell quite a lot of work, at a particular level, and I come away with some money in the bank and feeling like, oh, phew, but also making lots and lots and lots of connections with people, which is the point. So at Collect, we didn't sell anything because it was priced at a point where my work doesn't get priced at, and we weren't there to sell it. We wanted to show it and tour it, perhaps. So that was quite a difficult thing to be in, because then when I came home, being out of pocket and that was quite unusual for me, and I felt very uncomfortable with it initially, and that made me feel a little bit, oh no, maybe it's not the right thing that I should have done. Is it worth it? And just started to question all those negativity committee, all the doubts and all the fears and all the the things start flooding in, like, what have I done? Have I just wasted the 2 years of my, my work practice? What have I learned from this? But after I've given myself some time out, I realized actually it's just listen to the long game. Listen to the long game. This morning I had a really wonderful conversation with a really lovely guy who has been following my journey for a while. And given me links to other galleries and people who can mentor me in that kind of way, who are really well connected, on the international scene. So it's learning that it's a different journey now that I'm in, and that's quite off-putting. I feel very like, oh, this is unusual for me. How do I do this? And you just got to trust that it's the long game, and trust that there's the voice and the truth that you can't just get there straight away. There's no instant fix for this one. It's a long journey, and it kind of does this in and out, and up and down, and highs and lows, and and breathing in and out. So I've just got to remember to breathe.
Yeah, Adam says that he has given himself a huge goal of making it as a professional illustrator and earning a living by the end of the year. And he's got the plan, but the joy is being suppressed by the enormity of the task there. I've admitted it to the world.
I feel for you.
So yeah, Adam, I would say to this that I think it's great you've got that goal, and you've got that to be the professional illustrator. And this is what I always do myself. and what I do during the best year yet is to use that as the flag in the ground to take you on the journey. And your success does not depend on hitting that by the end of the year. You create that goal to set you on sail, so that by the end of the year, if you don't hit it, you've had the plan and the journey to analyze and go, right, okay, what do we do now? What do I, do I need to shift the goalpost, or do I need to do something differently? You'll have so much information, and it's nothing. So, and going back to that point of feeling suppressed, it's so good that you've brought that to the surface, because it's about really feeling your work and wanting to get that out into the world. That's where it comes from. Then you'll hit that goal.
You will.
You've got to really get fired up about your work and telling stories through illustration and be really passionate about that part, rather than focusing on the flags in the ground. Now you know that's where you're going. Now you've got to feed that passion, and like you say, you've realized that. And it's so good though for everyone to keep note of that. I keep note of that when I feel like I'm hanging too much on a goal, a financial goal or an outcome, and I start to feel my creativity being stifled, or the way that I then start to try and talk about what it is, and I go, oh, this is feeling yucky. No. And I always go back to my why, always go back to what is the bigger meaning behind all of this.
And sometimes you can't see it.
No, you can't see it.
So
no, because the stress is so
someone
enormous.
else, in the support group at the Collect Open with the past 2 years, I think this might help you, Adam, as well. There's a really wonderful woman called Karen Penny, and she's a really fantastic textile artist, and her work is very quiet, but it's very powerful quiet. And she messaged me and she said, "Oh, hi Sharon, how was how was Collect Open for you?" And I said, "Oh God, I feel so depressed. Actually, I feel really depressed. I felt really depressed, really, really low." And then she just said, "Well, why is that? Perhaps this, and this." And she said, "It's I saw your work. It was really good. It was really good. I thought the message was there. I thought the ideas were fantastic. But just remember, it's the long game. You don't know who's seen your work. You don't know. You have no control over who sees you or what you're doing. But as long as you are there with your truth. So if you feel, like Michelle says, really passionate about that, whatever it is that you want to say with your art, then it will happen. You've got to just believe it, because it's not for somebody else, it's for you. If you're not feeling, so if you're on a different pathway and you're having to change because someone else thinks that you should do this and someone else's voice is bigger than that, so you're not actually doing your own thing, and you're releasing the power over to somebody else who says it's going to be good or not. So maybe if you would honestly believe what it is that you're doing is good for you, if there was no one in the world, would you still do the work that you do? And if the answer is yes, then that's your passion, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, a great question has come in saying, from Adam, why would you want to show tour your art but not sell it? This is a great question. So the collaboration.
The idea, so we didn't want to sell it, because then it's an ownership of one person that gets hidden away from the world and in their home. Sometimes when a piece of artwork is sold, you can ask for it to be to be released, or to be shown in a gallery or seen in an exhibition. You can borrow it back from the the collector or the person who's bought it. But what we'd like to do, the whole point of the project, was to pass something backwards and forwards between two artists as a way of communicating in a physical sense, and opening up a question or a dialogue about freedoms and constraints. And initially it was about being in lockdown. So when everything was locked down, and we couldn't touch, we couldn't, unless it's, through a screen, the way that children were schooling, it was through a screen. The way teachers were, talking to the students, it's through a screen. No one was being able to touch. And through the work that Wayne and I produced, I felt very strongly and still feel very strongly about touring the work so that we can use it as a platform to talk about the things that we couldn't. So talking about the project is much more important to me than selling it to an individual who's going to not let it be seen. So
yeah,
to tour it in a
Mm.
group exhibition somewhere, or in a gallery somewhere, and behind the scenes we're talking about having, maybe with the Collect Open participants, for those that 2 years have been in a group in the same situation, with many disciplines, lots of textile artists and ceramics and sculpture.
It's a great question, though. It's a great. This is probably another podcast episode.
Yeah.
But it's a great question. Does art need to be sold?
Does it?
And not all art does it? And so I think this is a great question to dig under the surface, because sometimes there's a lot of artists that I come across that create. I call them showstoppers, but they don't have to be a big showstopper. But it's something that you create that it's not intended to be sold. It's intended to create conversation and raise profile. And there are artists then that use that over years to generate that conversation that brings attention over and can be featured in magazines and in galleries. And sometimes that can be really powerful to raise that profile and bring people over. Like you say, if you just sell it, then it's gone. It's just a conversation through pictures and something that existed rather than exists to you. So it's really interesting. TJ asked as well, you keep mentioning expenses.
Okay, the expense. What was the expense?
So I guess it's Collect, because Collect you paid. Collect is a prestigious show, and what usually happens is high-end galleries will pay for space. And so if you're represented by a gallery in high-end art fairs, if you're represented by a gallery, that's usually your only way in to the art fairs is through a gallery. But sometimes they open up through application only to artists directly, but the space is still paid for, so everybody pays for that space, but it's a real high premium space that you're paying for. But
I can tell you if you want.
We can talk. And you had to obviously pay for accommodation, because Sharon was down there for the week and travel.
So just to give you an idea, this is not for all art fairs. Collect is the most prestigious art fair, makers fair in Europe. So it's real high end. And for the 3 meter by, or 2 meter by 4 meter space, was 4,500. And then obviously there's all of the other things behind the scenes. So there's website, which is 200 quid a year. Then there's business cards. Then there's video. Then there's editing, and there's photographs to be produced. Then there's the work to be produced as well. It's time too. So I think, and then there's accommodation. So just the physical things came to around 6,000, which is what it cost.
Yeah, which is a big investment. But someone was saying here about how do you earn? I'll talk about that in a second. But just talking about this investment, because obviously Sharon's now in her journey, as an established artist. I think it's important to talk about this journey. So Sharon wouldn't have done this, I don't think, like 5 years ago when you were starting out.
I wasn't ready.
It's again the long game.
Yeah.
And now Sharon's at this point where to get to the next level and to raise prices and to be taken seriously and be around people, who to notice, it is a massive investment. And I don't just mean a massive investment in monetary value, but it's a big investment for Sharon to say publicly, I am invested in my art. This is how much it means to me. I'm willing to be at this show. And so that then does raise, it does make people notice and be like, yes, I want to invest in you. If you're invested in your own work, then you will be too. And so I do think there comes a point where investing in marketing, investing in being places is really important. And this is a whole other topic of raising prices to cover all these things, but it's not always about the return on investment in that instant of what you get back from that place. I see so many people do an exhibition and they're so like, oh, I didn't get anything. But if you're putting your work in the right place with the right people in front of it, it's what Sharon said, it's the long game.
It's a long game.
Relationships can come from this event in 6 years or a year,
Yeah.
2 years time. So yeah, going back to the point of how do you make money then if you are creating work that isn't selling? Well, there's a few ways, and I think there's lots of ways that you could create. If you wanted to create a piece of art or an installation or something that you didn't want to sell, but you wanted to communicate through other ways, first of all, there's one of the ways to look at that is return on investment isn't always monetary. So if you're creating something, it isn't always about the money that you get back. It's about the impact that work is going to have. It's about maybe the profile, the people that you can get it in front of. Then if you don't sell it, it lives on for such a longer period of time. It enables you to put things into places. And some people then will fund that through other works. So alongside it, you could create works that are for sale, that directly relate to the conversation that work's having. So you direct people to, oh, by the way, on my website, I've got these pieces. So it's all very synced up together. Or there might other artists, will do other things to get money together. They will crowdfund, they will get grants, they will hustle, they'll do other part-time jobs because they feel so passionate about getting that work out in front of people and it not to be sold. Does that make sense? So I think there's lots of ways that it's all about putting a plan together and thinking, if I want this. So for an example here, the book, I'm not going to make any money from the book. It's almost like a traveling exhibition that's going to go on and just get in front of people. I'm not going to make any money from it because you don't from books unless you sell hundreds and hundreds of thousands of copies and unless you self-publish. And I want it to be published by someone else. And so then I could think, well, what's the point? But the point is to get that message. I am so hungry to get that message in front of people. And then I'm figuring out other ways to fund that then, because like Sharon, there's a lot of expenses. There's a lot of things that go into it.
Some people have had their, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Some people at the Collect Open have had their expenses paid by the Crafts Council. So they've applied for funding. So there's loads of different ways that you can get funding.
There are
through
funding.
Arts Council, Crafts Council. There's if you just look on the internet and just search Arts Council or Arts funding, then you can apply. There's some things that are 50 quid and some of them go up to like 200,000.
I was going to say I've had grants and there's so much support as well. And it also, with this idea of not selling work and for it to go into places, there might be opportunities where people hire it from you. They want it to be part of a bigger exhibition and they'll pay you for it to be featured as part of that conversation. We could list so many ways that you can fund money, big projects like that, non-commercial artwork. Because when you put it out there, there's so many ways. It's really exciting, actually. And I think, so we digress.
That is a good conversation to have.
Isn't it?
It is.
It is a good conversation. Yeah.
It all brings us down to the long game. It's the long game, and what is it that you want to say with your art? And if it's about making people happy, then how are you going to make people happy? How are you going to, do you want to? Is it the Collect Open or being part of that? That project was so that I can make my own voice bigger, so it's not an ego thing. It's just how can I understand that I run a pottery, it's in the community. I run a workshop which is like, it's just falling apart at the seams. There's holes in the walls. It just needs to be knocked down and built up again. No one is going to give me a grant to do that. So unless I make myself bigger, like not bigger personally, because I've done that over COVID through the amounts of cake that I've been eating, chocolate mostly. But how do I make myself more, more open to or more visible to a lot of people on the international scale? And then how can that voice be brought back into my own community? And then maybe by sharing that journey with everybody in my own community and saying, well, this is how it's going to enrich people here, taking that project into schools, taking that project into the community, maybe making a sculpture park, maybe understanding, doing the research about where we live, and making our communities talk better, to each other more effectively. That will probably get funded. And that is the reason, one of the reasons.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for
congratulations
having
again. You've done it.
I did it. Oh, thank God. Oh, that was hard. It was really hard, but so well worth it.
But you did it. You
I
did
think it's
it. Yeah.
We should wait. I don't know yet. I'm still in the...
We will get another update from you, won't we? And we'll know. I know for a fact. And it was in your intuition. It was definitely worth it. So thank you for sharing. I know you've just come out of your...
just come out of my bubble of hiding.
Your bubble. And I really appreciate you sharing that with our lovely, lovely audience. So thank you to everyone tuning in as well. And then we have our Your Art Matters event starting in April. So this week we will send you some links to sign up for that. So the Your Art Matters event is going to be online and it's free, and it will be really about celebrating all the different voices amongst us, all the different types of art. The whole theme is art is, and it's about art is something different to each and every one of us and celebrating that. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing next month in April. So take care, everybody. And thank you again, Sharon, for joining us. And I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye. Bye.